The sun was dipping low, painting the sky orange as I stood knee-deep in the muck of my backyard pond, gripping a shovel like it was my last stand. From the other side of the yellow caution, taped across, saw my soft fence. "Mind you, Marlene," the HOA president shrieked like a banshee, her voice cracking as she waved a clipboard. "You can't drain this pond, Tom. It's community property," she bellowed, her face redder than the fire Thorn I'd soon plant. Behind her, two guys in cheap suits, looking like they'd stumbled out of a late-night lawyer ad, shuffled forward. One thrust a paper at me and muttered, "You've been served." I turned to the camera I'd rigged on my fence, stared into the lens, and said, "If Marlene thinks this is hers, she's gonna love sharing the thorns." With that, I slammed the shovel into the dirt, and the war began. My name's Tom Larson, 62, retired biology professor, widower, and a guy who just wanted peace. 5 years ago, after my wife passed, I bought this patch of land for its spring-fed pond and a deed so ironclad it could have been forged by a blacksmith. I'm not on the HOA and either signed up. Never will. My property's zoned separate, a fact I triple-checked before MOVYing in. Back then, the HOA across the road was just a nuisance, hosting bake sales and trash pickups. I ignored them, and they ignored me. That is, until Marlene took over. She didn't just lead the HOA. She wielded it like a scepter. With her perma-scowl and a tone that made every word sound like an accusation, she strutted around like she owned the whole damn county. It started 6 months ago with a knock on my door. Marlene stood there, fake smile plastered on, and said, "Tom, the neighborhood's been talking. That pond of yours would be perfect for our walking group's reflection area." I blinked. "What walking group?" I asked. "Oh, it's in the works," she said, like she'd already annexed my backyard. I said not politely at first, then not so much. When I stopped answering her knocks, the letters came. Official-looking nonsense, claiming my pond, was on common green space. They even sent maps so badly drawn they looked like a kid's art project, with my property lines redrawn to suit their fantasy. I called my buddy Jim, a lawyer who owed me a few favors. He read their crap, laughed, and said, "They're bluffing, but they're serious. Bold and stupid's a bad mix." I tried playing nice. I dragged myself to an HOA meeting, sat through Marlene droning about parking violations like she was preaching gospel, and raised my hand. "I'd like to clear up some lies about my pond," I said, holding up my county survey. Marlene's eyes narrowed. "Saw your saw pond?" she snapped, like I'd stolen her family heirloom. She whipped out a pamphlet with cartoon trees, and a smiling sun slapped over my property. I held my ground while VYing my deed. "This predates your HOA," I said. She scoffed. "We'll see what a court says." A week later, a cease and desist letter landed, accusing me of blocking community access and destroying wildlife habitat, none of which applied to me. Jim said we could fight it and win, but it'd cost time and money. Or, I said, grinning, we give them something to remember. That's when I started draining the pond. I'd studied drought systems in my professor days, so I rerouted the spring quietly, filed all the county paperwork, and turned my pond into something new. Not just any something thorny, native, saw nasty saw plants. Fire thorn with needle-sharp spikes. The VYL's walking stick, like a medieval weapon in plant form. Black locust, tough as nails with spines that had shred in them. All legal, all mean. I knew my plants, and I knew how to make them fight. Marlene noticed the water dropping and showed up with a news crew, screaming I was killing frogs and butterflies. I stood on the bank, held up my permits, and said, "This pond's mine. The only thing I'm endangering is dumb ideas." The clip aired locally, and I went VY-row. Biologist battles, HOA with thorns screamed the headlines. My inbox overflowed with support. Someone even mailed me thorn-proof gloves. But Marlene wasn't done. She sent a contractor to build a bench on my land, tearing down my fence without asking. I caught on my trail cam, called the sheriff, and watched them haul the guy off while Marlene fumed. "You'll regret this," she hissed. I glanced at my sprouting thorns and said, "Bet you will first." Every morning, I sipped coffee and watched my garden grow. The pond was gone, replaced by a fortress of spikes and berries that screamed, "Stay out." Marlene kept pushing letters about my mailbox, claims of aesthetic violations. I rebuilt it as a mini castle, surrounded by thorny VY nests and a camera that chirped. Welcome to my lawful mailbox. She came by with a tape measure, got snagged by a VYNE, and fell on her ass. My camera caught it all. Then she sent a guy to sabotage my irrigation. I planned for that, rigging decoy pipes that tripped a sensor when tampered with. Boot prints led to the sidewalk, and the hired handyman later confessed, naming Marlene. The HOA board started cracking. Her downfall came at a meeting I didn't even attend. Her VYC president, Dave, called her out for wasting money and making them a laughingstock. When he moved to oust her, she screamed about betrayal, but the vote was brutal. Marlene was done stripped of power, asked to resign. The new president, Hank, a no-nonsense ex-Marine, showed up at my door with an apology and a promise to back off. I handed him a request for a sign declaring my land off limits. He paid for it himself. It read, "Keep out. Experimental Botanical Zone. HOA access prohibited." Marlene's house went up for sale, but no one bid. Her name was Poison VY Deos of her slipping in mud, ranting about community rights, and losing her grip circled online. She slashed the price, but buyers Googled her and ran. Eventually, a college kid moved in, hung a pride flag, and played jazz at night. I liked him. My garden, now called the Garden of Regret, became a local legend. Conservationists VY cited, students took notes, and a gardening magazine ran a feature. I added a path, some wildflowers, and a bench for myself. The thorns didn't just protect my land, they told a story. Sitting on that bench, coffee in hand, I'd watch bees buzz and squirrels dodge spikes. The pond was gone, but this was better alive, fierce, saw mine saw. Marlene faded into a neighborhood joke. Don't go full Marlene, folks would say laughing. I didn't hate her. I didn't need to. Nature and I had one, with roots and patience sharper than any lawyer's pen. The last time a clipboard showed up, it was a journalist, not a threat. What do you call this place? She asked, eyeing the WYL's walking stick. I smiled. Some say Garden of Regret. I call home. So what do you think? Was I right to turn my pond into a thorny fortress, or did I go too far? Should HOAs have any say over private land? Or are they just power-hungry clubs? And if you were me, would you have drained the pond or fought Marlene another way? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you're Team Thorns, and subscribe for more stories where nature bites back. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story on Store of Good Stories. If this story touched your heart or made you think, don't forget to hit like and share the video to spread this positive message to more people. And if this is your first time here, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the meaningful stories we share every week. Your support is the biggest motivation for Store of Good Stories to keep bringing heartfelt and valuable stories to you. See you in the next video.